Hey, what's up, family? This is Chief Kalanago with another video. Family, I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes. I'm going to try. Okay? I'm tired, so I got to get some rest. So I'm going to make this really short if I can. All right? I had an experience. And once again, videos are strictly for the awakening of the masses. Things to make you open up your mind, see things from a different perspective. Because my goal is to take you away from this so-called conscious community that got you lost. It's the new religion. It's the new form of entertainment, ghettofied entertainment. And I'm asking you guys to get away. Stop subscribing to that. Stop giving them your energy. You are keeping them alive. But again, you do what you feel is best for you. Those who have eyes, let them see. And those who have ears, let them hear. So I went to the bank to deposit some money into my niece's account. Okay, so my aunt gave me some money and she said, okay, you know what? Go drop it into my niece's account for her. I said, cool. I went to the bank, fill out the the deposit slip, and I stood online. And then when it was my turn, I walked to the teller. Now at the teller was a brother, somebody you would call black or Negro or African American. You know the terms y'all use. And by no means I don't mean any disrespect by saying that. I come here every day and I do these videos out of love, but I have to call a spade, right? So when I presented the slip with the money, he said that you need ID to deposit money. I was like, I didn't know that, really. And he said, yeah, it's a new rule. It's a government rule that was instituted. And I said, okay, fine. So I pulled out my tribal ID. I gave him my tribal ID. He looked at it. He said, well, you need another form of ID. I said, okay. I pulled out my Indigenous Peoples United ID. He said, well, no, you can't use that. You need a government issued. I say it is a government. It is my government. Okay? It is my government. It's my ID for my nation. Then he's getting irritated. He wants to get mad. Oh, you can't use that. Nah, 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 you can't. I say, yes, brother, I can. So he want to get into an argument. So when it seems like it was about to escalate, because I was about to slap him with the UNDRIP, United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People, also the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, Michael walked in. It seems Michael must be his manager. But guess what? Michael took a look at the ID and said, yes, he can. Then all of a sudden he looked all stunned and shocked and stupid. Michael said, if this is how you put his identification in the system. You see what's there, right? That it comes underneath that, right? So anyway, guess what? Michael is Caucasian. You see the irony in this? The person who looks like me was giving me a hard time because he was defending the institution of the oppressor because they didn't teach him properly. You see, they didn't teach him who he is. So now I come up here looking like him. Now he's telling me I can't use that because it's not what he has. That's not what he has in his wallet. He has their ID in his wallet. So to him, that's what's valid. That's what they taught him. But here comes Michael, the Caucasian. He knows when he saw me, he knew real recognized real. And then I did my transaction. And then when he was about to give me my receipt, I said, Michael, I would like to speak to you privately, please. He said, okay, give me 15 minutes. I'm dealing with somebody in the back. When I'm done, I will come to you. In about 6 minutes, he came. And he said, my office is over here. Step into my office if you can. As soon as I stepped into his office, the first thing he said was, what should I call you? Should I call you Chief Kalanago, or just Kalanago? I said, Chief is fine. Because I wasn't going to take away my title. Okay? So he said, Chief, come in, have a seat. And he said, first, I want to apologize for, the brother's name. And he didn't know. I said, I realized that. Anyway, the whole purpose was I had a conversation with him about indigenous people's rights and told him a little bit about UNDRIP and that how would it be possible so that my nation and the tribal members could open up accounts. Well, he said that I would have to deal with the higher office. But what he's going to do is he's going to put a note in the system, and he showed me that he put a note saying that the chief of a tribal nation, such and such nation, came and he wanted to know how indigenous peoples, the bank could cater to indigenous peoples in terms of opening up ID, because they call this and my ID a secondary ID. You see what I'm saying? And they said I need a primary ID, which is a government ID. So that's or a foreign passport in the nation's name. You see? So he put a note in there and he said also I could give them a call. But you see, I opened up some dialogue and he showed me, he put it in the system and he submitted it. And he said that's a good thing. When I call them, there'll already be a track record of my nation's ID in the system. And ask them what can they do, to cater to indigenous people. And I could tell them about UNDRIP and the American Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People. Family, the moral of that story is it's always the people who look like you. You see, it's always the people who look like you that want to disrespect you when you know who you are and they don't know who they are because they live their life in ignorance. You see, they look down at you. So I'm coming up in here, so you're probably looking down at me, but bro, I'm a chief. While you're walking with their ID in your pocket, that makes you a slave. I am the chief of my nation. But it's funny that the Caucasian man came and in less than 2 seconds, he just looked at the ID and said, yes, he can. Click here and you'll see what you could put his ID underneath. You see the difference? Because they know who you are. You see, their parents taught them about who you are. But your parents didn't teach you about who you are. Your schools didn't teach you about who you are. So you're walking around, again, a nationless people, thinking you are a color. You thinking you are 2 continents. So I left the bank, walked up 2 blocks, because I had to go send a package to another chief out of state. And somebody, a brother you would call homeless in the streets, because you see, in the process of my awakening, when I see my brothers in the streets and my sisters in the streets that you may call homeless, I don't call them homeless because they are at home. You see, Mother Earth is their home. They may not have a box to stay in, but they do have a home, which is Mother Nature. So I don't look at them as homeless. They are my brothers and sisters. So whatever I have, I give them. If I have $2, I will give them $1. So anyway, I'm walking, passing the brother. I said, hey, what's up, brother? He said, what's up, chief? I turned back. And then he asked me, what tribe are you from? I told him. We had a nice little conversation. Again, somebody you would call homeless, somebody you would call a bum. He recognized me. Real recognize real. The moral of this story is you have every right to self-identification because you are no longer a child. When you were a child, you did things like a child. You were a minor. Now that you're an adult, you do what adults do and you identify yourself. You didn't have a choice when your mother named you because you were a minor. But yet still you have grown and you are still a minor because you are in you are in the trust of a government. That's why they call you a minority. Not because you are less in number. It's because of your state of mind, your mental state of mind. You are a child, incapable of handling your own affairs. So they call you a minor. So they continue to name you because they stole your birthright. Yes, that's right. So you see, I come on here every single day to give you information to evoke something in you, to wake you up. You see, if all the people, the indigenous peoples of the Americas knew and implement the message that I bring, you would see the difference. A lot of people say, well, this thing don't work and that don't work. How do you know if it work if you don't try it? Huh? You think I would go tell somebody, hey, don't go buy houses because real estate is too hard? I have never done real estate. I have never sold homes. I mean, I worked in a real estate office, but I wasn't doing it. I was trying to learn something, but it wasn't for me. Not that buying homes or is not for me. I'm not saying that. Selling homes to people is not, it wasn't for me at that time. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to tell somebody, hey, you know what? Don't go, don't work out. It's not going to work. How you know it's not going to work if you don't try it? The point I'm trying to make is, family, for those of you who are indigenous, whether it may be to the Americas or the African continent, wherever you are indigenous to, you have a right to self-identify. You have that right. It's your natural creator given right. And for all the people here on social media, that's making you or telling you that you are a color, really putting you in a state of 3/5 of a human, nationless people, and you're accepting that because you think it's popular, you will perish. So I'm going to ask a few of these people simple questions, not because there's any animosity, not because there's any jealousy or envy. No, I love them. And that's why I'm trying to get them on track. Okay? So I don't want you, the ignorant ones, to misconstrue the message and the intent of what I'm about to say. So I'm asking Sinetta, what is your nationality? Where are you from? Where are your grandparents from? And don't say black, because black is not a nationality. A color is not a people. As a matter of fact, it is dead within law. That's why you have no rights. You have certain privileges that's allocated to you. So where are you from? And if you say Africa, then my next question is where in Africa? Because Africa is a continent. And after you tell me where in Africa, I want to know what tribe. Because you're not just going to go to Africa and say I'm home. They will look at you like you're stupid because they know it's not your home. So I'm asking Sinetta, I'm asking Ankh, I'm asking Shaka Atmos, I'm asking who else? Pharaoh, Allah, especially you, brother. You know that there is a problem with being black. You know why? Because you try to correct your status, but people don't peep the game. But because you ran into some difficulties with some people who weren't righteous, you went back to the black thing because you know it pays. You see, I know it's a hustle. I get it. But imagine the spiritual karma that you are attaching to yourself by misleading the children of the Most High. Because you know why? Y'all are selling your people for 30 pieces of silver. That's what you're doing. I understand it's the come up. That's what the whole so-called conscious community is about. It's the new church. It's the new religion. You know, it's the new hustle. You guys are the new priests and pastors and ministers. Take people and bring them into little boxes and tell them things. Lecture to them. A lecturer is another form as a pastor or a preacher. That's what it is. It's popular. It's a game. It's a come up. And I get it. But let the people know that this is your hustle. Don't continue to call our people a color in a box, in a crayon box. The 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment made them slaves. In 1995, Clinton signed an executive order making y'all people human capital. Why y'all don't tell them about that? You see, the irony in this is this. You guys know everything about Mars and Pluto and Anunnakis and everything in the spiritual world, but yet still you cannot even handle your affairs in the physical world. What type of shit is that? Huh? Tell me. You cannot handle what you have control over, your tangibles, like your identity. You cannot even handle that because you're still a minor, you're still a child. You belong to somebody else. But you're telling me about stuff in the spiritual world that you have no control over. But some of y'all may say, you know what? Oh, it's not important. It's about the spiritual. Well, let's go with that. If it was just about the spiritual, why would the spiritual see the need or the significance to manifest into the physical? Obviously, it's for a reason, and for a very, very significant reason. But y'all are too blind to see it. It's a marriage. You see, it's a marriage between the physical and the spiritual. And it's not going to work if it's unequally yoked. There has to be some form of balance. It's a marriage. That's why a lot of y'all are lost. And that's why they could come to the schools and take your children and do what the hell they want with you in the streets. So obviously you knew something was wrong with being black and the way so-called black people are being treated, because they are not a people. They are a nationless people. However, you ran into some problems. The people you did the business and trying to correct your status with, they robbed you. So now you went back to what's popular, black. You know what? It's making me money. It's a hustle. It's a movement. People are proud to be fools because they're calling themselves a color. Now, I know the truth may hurt. I get it. But this is not a personal attack. I'm calling everybody in the conscious community. You tell me what's your nationality and then prove it to me. Because you see, 95% of y'all going around talking about y'all African American, y'all black, and y'all from Africa. Guess what? Your great grandmothers told you you had Indian in you. But because that's not popular, you see, going back to Africa, the Africa thing, the black movement, you see, the RGB, that's what's popular. And it's not an attack. Don't get me wrong, it's not an attack. But what happened to this side of the continent? Why are you guys abandoning your ancestors that were already here? Because you know why? It's not popular. It's not popular. And I get it. And I get it. I get it, but I'm going to forever continue to speak truth. I know the truth is not popular, but guess what? It's always naked. And that's why I deal with the naked truth. That's why I deal with the naked truth. So for all of y'all who continuously calling yourself black, you will deal with the consequences of being black. Because it's a curse. Even Tupac said it. You see, y'all listen to the raps, but y'all don't listen to the verses. You see? Family, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. You see, one man could make a difference, but a million could move mountains. We can move mountains together. So I'm going to ask you before I end this video, what's in your wallet? I have my nation's ID in my wallet. It says Chief Kalinago. I have my Indigenous Peoples United. It says Chief Kalinago, a tribal member. That's right. I have my business cards in my tribal name. My business cards in my tribal name. Okay? And like I told y'all before, I had gotten a card from Foxwood with my tribal name. You say it doesn't work? Okay. I had the same situation when they wanted me to produce a government issued ID. I had to let them know this is my government. And this is my ID. They went in, did this, and they did what they had to do, and they came back and gave it to me. I also have my press ID from Indigenous Peoples United. So I'm asking the indigenous peoples of the Americas and of the world to wake up. You have the right to self-identity, self-governance. Stop being slaves. Before the invaders came here, we were indigenous. And we have every single right to our Creator-given rights. I love y'all. And that's why, you see, there's a difference between love and love. Because if people love you, they wouldn't call you black. They wouldn't call you African American, because they know if they have so much information of space and they can't figure out this one little detail that calling yourself black is a curse, it means death right here, then they are misleading you. They are agents. And all the shows, all the little DVDs they put together, telling you about all the Africans and slave trade is just another roots. I forgot the series of the DVDs that they do. You know the popular one. They have from 1 to 5, I think. I forgot the name of it. You know what I'm saying? They are getting paid by the oppressors. The oppressors are funding those DVDs, and they are funding this conscious community because they want to continue to keep you dead. Walking Dead, the zombies. They are funding them. That's right. They are funding them. For some reason, I just can't remember the name of the DVD series. I can't remember it, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, they got from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 or whatever, or from 1 to 4. All right, but family, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. My question to you is today, who are you? What do you have in your wallet? Peace and love. And for those of you who might think this video is because of hate and jealousy, no, it's not. I have no reason to be jealous of anybody because I am free. That's the difference. Today or tomorrow, they take my physical life, my ancestors would be very, very pleased with the work that I've done because I have finally freed myself and I showed others the way. And it's up to them. You heard Harriet Tubman. She could have freed 1,000 more slaves if only they knew they were slaves. I'm asking you, family, it's time to get out of her. It's time to get out of her. Now that you're an adult, do the things that grown people do. Identify yourself. Handle your own affairs. I love y'all. Peace.